I was a complete PE dodger throughout school, and I didn't really have too much interest in participating in organised sport, but I liked running around. I was an active kid. But I never thought I would be a sporty person, and I never thought I'd be running around a track voluntarily on a Wednesday night. I thought I'd just sort of show up maybe once or twice and see all the intimidating people in their lycra and sort of get scared and go home. I still look at all the people in their lycra and think, look at all that sportswear, and then I look down and realise that I'm wearing it as well. I've always felt fairly energetic and not had too many of the problems associated with under replacement or not having enough thyroxine. I think the first real concern was the amount I slept. My parents thought they had a very, very placid, sleepy, content baby, but after a few weeks, I think, they thought that it was perhaps a little bit of a warning sign. So that's when they took me along to a GP who said, actually, this baby is very, very quiet for a reason. They didn't know I was hypothyroid because the testing wasn't in place. They didn't know whether that was something that would be very serious and would cause a lot of problems. You can't obviously give a tablet to a baby, so it was liquid in milk, and then as I got older, the tablets were crushed, and I was given them with my breakfast cereal every morning. I know my mum was very quickly reassured that it was a condition that could be managed, that it's something that would never be cured and it would never go away, but that the treatment, as long as it was introduced straight away and kept up with, that it would be effective. I had bone scans on my wrist to check that my bones were developing normally, and that was quite exciting at the age of 6 or 7, having an x-ray done of your wrist and your bones examined to see how old you are. And they did expect me to get a little bit taller than I had done. I was blood tested about every 3 or 4 months up until the age of about 10 or 11, and then it went to every 6 months. And it was only in my 20s that they stopped doing it and they started doing it annually. I have felt a bit sluggish and a bit cold when I've been missing doses, and especially when I was at university, when my compliance was very, very, very poor. So it doesn't affect my day-to-day living, but when me and my husband wanted to start a family, I did read into the subject and did find out that it would take, or it might take longer to conceive. And it wasn't until that point that I started to worry. But as these things happen, it was only when I'd started to worry that we got the good news. I was monitored closely. I had a lot of blood tests just to make sure that the dose could be adjusted upwards. Initially just 25 micrograms and then went up by another 25. So they continue that because you're still making the child grow. The child's thyroxine comes from you while you're pregnant. But there was no history of it in my family at all. Nobody on my mother or father's side had hypothyroidism or any other thyroid problems at all. But he was tested at 6 days and found to not be hypothyroid at all, so he was absolutely fine. I wasn't concerned about passing it on to Joseph because I knew that if he did turn out to have hypothyroidism, that we would manage it, and based on my own experience, he'd be a happy and totally healthy child. The worst aspects of it have been inconvenience. And sometimes we all have a bit of a foggy head, whether that's because we've got too much to think about, we're a bit tired, or, other factors. More to the point, it's been the other way. I've felt fine, and they've said your dose looks like you're not quite replaced, and maybe we should go up a dose. And I've said, don't adjust it just to make the numbers look right. Because as it is, I feel absolutely great. Using running, perhaps, as a good barometer of how I feel. I can't be going out and doing what I think are decent times, being really under-replaced. That wouldn't happen. So if they were to suggest to me that my TSH is really high, you need to go up a dose, I would say, at this point, I'm sure I don't. I'm certain I don't, because I feel absolutely fine, and I'm running quickly, and I'm keeping up with life in general, and things are fine.